is. You're on the air. How's it going?
Yo, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So your question was?
Well, the question of the day of the stream is what are your biggest points of what's your biggest point of confidence for Trump, and what's your biggest point of concern for Trump? Because this is an election, things look pretty good. Liberals are admitting things look good for Trump, but still there's probably points of concerns that people have as well. So
Yep.
we'll do the pros, we'll do the cons. Go
I've
for it.
got you. I've got you the extended release white pill right here. The truth is that Donald Trump is the onset favorite to win the horse race. When we're looking at the stallion, Donald is leading in every single swing state. You can have some sort of detractors saying that, well, Wisconsin is close. There's a margin of error to be respected. I'm saying no to all these charges. In fact, when you're looking at it on the basis, let's ask the average Wisconsinite whether or not they were better off under Donald Trump or with Joe Biden's presidency. And I have a banger right here. When we look at the direction of the country, we can sample that right now. What you'll notice is that about negative 44% are actually in favor of this direction of the country. The perception is as bad as it's ever been. In fact, it hasn't been this bad since about 2008 when things were even worse, actually. And also beyond this, we have 2020 in November, the direction of the country was negative 29. So that's about 15% worse than when it was when Trump lost. And so that is to say that it's very materially clear that Trump is going to be the odds favorite. And of course, in a presidential election where you have two major parties, it's going to be close regardless. In fact, John McCain lost by less than 10%, despite everything on paper pointing to him losing by, let's say, 20, which is to say, of course, that while Trump might only win by 3%, that is a goddamn supermajority in the respect of the polarization we live in. And, even beyond this point, we also have the fact that the approval rating for Joe Biden was a benign one in 2020. We had a guy who had a positive approval of about 3 percentage points, depending on that exit poll, whereas obviously Donald Trump is all over the place, but certainly not that popular. Now we see that Joe has cratered, whereas Trump has stayed about the same. And the truth is that if you have one athlete who has not aged in 4 years and another guy who's like a 35-year-old running back, the guy's toast. It's over. The guy's working on 2 phantom ACLs. It's going to be the case that Joe Biden's disapproval is going to be way too heavy to actually fix. And some people might say, well,
Well, I'll even
what?
say I'll even cut in here and say that I think that Trump is the example of somebody that has multiple primes in their career. I think that the Trump we've seen now is it's like a fine wine Trump. He fits because you talk about there's all this talk about fatigue. I don't see the same fatigue. I see Trump, he's obviously it's not election season yet, but he's still got his base. He's still intact. He's winning people over. He's winning donors over, people, everybody that he needs to put this victory together.
He's very much like a Carson Palmer, maybe a Adrian Peterson, a little less controversial at that. I will say, though, that with this election, there is some pessimism to be had. A couple of these would be the money. The money is definitely not favorable towards Trump overall, cash on hand. That being said, the trend has been inverting recently. And even beyond this, I have some more copium for y'all, and it's grade A, because when we look at the factors that would make somebody lead in a race, you have to consider what is changing circumstantially. These chief issues, such as abortion, that issue, the longer that we go over this overturning of Roe v. Wade, the less of a thing it'll become. Now, when we look at the money front, it's depreciating returns at best because, of course, Joe Biden has had more spending than Donald Trump thus far, and yet is still losing. And so God knows how much money he's going to need to invert that. In fact, he'd probably have to give everybody a 20 boner to get them to win, okay? Like, we really, there's not enough money in the world for this to happen. And so when we're looking at it one way, this sort of like Michael Bloomberg approach to just splurging is not going to cut it. And when we look at the 2020 primary, that was really the truth. Now, moving forward, I do think that when it comes to negative aspects, there is some questions as to how this debate will go for Trump, because anything other than a victory would be an L, if you know what I mean. It's a very slanted sort of thing that we're working with, where the expectations and the bar for Biden is so low that it's hard to really overtake those expectations that are so low for him. And what I mean is that the guy clearly is just on the decline cognitively. I think more people are pointing this out. In fact, when you look at the polling in 2020, it was about half the country that thought he had dementia. I bet you that's about 75% now. And so whereas most liberals back then could just vote for Biden not looking into it, the truth is that they can't pretend that his shit doesn't stink. The diaper's brown. There's no denying it, okay? At this point, you're coping and saying, well, he's just a little stupid, but I'll vote for him anyway. And that confirmation bias only takes you so far. If we saw a cognitively slipping Ronald Reagan, if he ran for a third term, You could really see that some people would say, you know what, fuck it, I love him. But the truth is that Joe Biden is not affable like that, and he does not have the charisma. He cannot ride on the
He's no
coattails of the
Reagan.
past. You
Yeah,
what?
he's not. I mean, he's not even Jimmy Carter. You talk about all the talks about Reagan and all these people that were transformational at their time, or the party beloved him. Joe Biden is not. He's not Obama. He's not Trump even, and he's not even Jimmy Carter. Let alone somebody like a Reagan type. So the cracks are there. He was carried by an anti-Trump energy that you just don't see in full gear anymore. And now you also, not only that, you have this anti-Biden energy that's kind of it's like a double-edged sword, and he has no room for error. It's very, very unlikely
Uh-huh.
that I feel like at this stage in the game he's going to pull it off, but it does come
And we
down to
can also
turnout.
declare, and I'm saying this, I'm going on a limb. I don't know if you'll back me up on this, but I do think that Jill Stein will be a more consequential candidate than will be RFK. Actually, when it comes down to the numbers, Jill Stein is going to get, let's say, 3 or 4% of the vote. That's going to be more than the Libertarian Party. I guarantee it. But even
I don't
chief
know about
among that,
3 to 4,
three
but
to four. Nah, it's gonna look good
um,
in Michigan. She's gonna be busting it. Okay, Wisconsin, great stuff.
okay.
Listen, we have her at least double or triple the support she had in 2016 or 20, and that's a monumental difference because obviously 90% of those people are liberal that are voting for her, whereas obviously with RFK, it's a lot more 55-45 either way, and
No, I
clearly
know what
his
you mean. I agree.
participating. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't think she's gonna get 3, but I think that whatever she gets is all from Biden. RFK, you could debate that. Depends on the state, 50-50, whatever, 55-45 maybe even. But Jill Stein is the consequential candidate at the end of the day, and that's really what this. I mean, in certain states like Michigan, you didn't have the Green Party in 2020. You didn't really have anyone running on that ticket that was notable. You have Jill Stein. You have Cornel West, who will also try to tap into the Islamic vote that might not be, fully embracing Trump, but doesn't like Biden. So you kind of see those margins there, and they all do add up, and they all do take votes away from Biden, who has such a narrow margin for error to begin with. But anyways, Lalo, thanks for coming on the stream. I appreciate it.
So true. And I will say, if you want more Red Eagle derived content, it's very much almost copy and paste. You're going to want to watch my channel at LaloAZ03. I'll link it in the comments. See you right there.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, everybody. Let me know what you thought of that call in the comments down below. It's obviously kind of a time old tradition. I've been calling it to the rep show about 5 years now. So pretty cool stuff. I hope to come off a little bit less like a spaz nerd every single time, maybe slow down the cadence a little bit, but you know how I am. But thank you all for the lovely comments in the live, by the way. Very cool stuff. Insofar as like the capturing of the reactions from Jack, obviously it was not synced or anything. And you know what's not a big deal. This video is coming up almost exclusively for the diehards, all 2 of you. We got to really see this through. Also, peep the self-aware copying, okay? I've been getting a lot of flack, and by a lot of flack, I mean like 5 comments here or there. You're copying Red Eagle. You know what the truth is? Yeah, obviously, duh. Now, he's cool with it. Clear. Second of all, by the way, the format that we use, the YapMS like website, everybody uses in the sector. And by that, I mean like anybody who makes videos of this ilk is going to do the same thing. Now, if you want to talk about like verbatim saying what he says, that's not true. Insofar as, I mean, it's just, I took the format. That's true. But I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, for instance, if you were to take a beat instrumental and then rap on it with different lyrics, you're copying X, and no, it's called a remix, baby. We're just having different opinions over the exact same topic, and we agree politically on almost everything. And so, yeah, of course, it's going to come out pretty damn similar when you're repping the same side. Okay, so simple. Also, just PS, anybody who has an idea for the channel, comment down below. I make the election content because it hits the algorithm pretty well, and that's what I need more than anything. Of course, I have other talents. We can go into different things, but it's a little more controversial, of course, rating over the women's TikToks or whatever. Well, not even TikToks, but you know what I mean, like these YouTube shorts. I have niches I can tap into. It's just a question of where do I aim the hammer? Do I hit the nail or do I hit my fucking hand, okay? Big question right there for you guys in the chat. Like the video, and again, I'll see y'all on the flip side. Adios.